So a few weeks ago when we were at IKEA, we were looking at whiteboards for the office, and the one that I was looking at the time, we didn't really like the legs that were on it, the rolly legs, because they were pretty big. They took up a big footprint. But when we were looking online, we actually found that IKEA had another model of a rolling whiteboard that also doubles as a room divider. So we ended up splurging on it. You can see the legs don't take up as much floor space. And this is a huge whiteboard that we could use, and it also doubles as like an acoustic panel. So would also help doing some recording in here as well. And then also, if me or Jess are in meetings, it could help create a little bit of separation there. But this is the other new addition that we made to the office. I had mentioned in a previous vlog that over the summer I did a contract gig with the weather company, and in that project we did a little bit of user research, and one thing that we found out was that there are actually a lot of avid skiers and snowboarders out there that have yet to actually do a ski trip involving taking a plane and flying somewhere else, flying somewhere far away. And also around this time of year, one of my videos tends to get a lot of views and attention, and it's the one where I share how I packed my ski bag for a trip that I did out west to Mammoth in California. And that video has also gotten a bunch of comments in terms of follow-up questions and additional things people had in mind as far as what they wanted to know when it comes to packing a ski bag and going somewhere else for a ski trip and bringing all of your stuff with you. So since this week is going to be about basically preparing for that trip that I have next week, I'll take you along with me in how I am preparing my bag for this specific trip and some of the things that I think about and some tips along the way. So the first thing that I always do is make sure I check the baggage allowance policy for the airline that I'm going to be flying with. I actually do this before I even book tickets, and it is a deciding factor in what airline and what tickets that I buy. So in my specific use case, I'm flying with ANA Airlines, and their policy as of today is I get 2 free checked-in bags with a 50-pound limit per bag. A lot of people get worried about the oversized luggage charge, but they do have a policy for sporting equipment, and skis are included in that. So if you're flying with any of the approved sporting equipment, they will waive the oversized luggage, which is a 62-inch max length in one direction. My skis are a little bit bigger than that, but it's going to be waived because I'm flying with skis, so don't have to worry about that. One thing you do have to think about, especially for domestic flights here in the US, and something I've dealt with in the past, is that for some of the lower tier tickets, they don't allow you any checked bags, and I've had to pay a separate fee just to bring on one checked bag for some of those use cases. But make sure you're up to date with whatever baggage allowance policy with the flight provider that you are going to be taking. In addition to my 2 check bags that I'm allowed on this flight, I can also bring a carry-on and a personal item with me onto the plane. As usual, for most airlines, you're allowed to do that. In the past, I've always used my ski bag as my check bag. I bring a roller for a carry-on and then a backpack as my personal item. For this trip, I'm looking to reduce the amount of bags that I'm traveling with because it is such a long trip. And also that flight to Japan is very long, and I want to keep my leg space open for this trip. So my plan for this trip is to basically only bring my ski bag as my checked bag, and I'm going to try and pack as much clothing and equipment in that as possible, staying underneath the 50-pound limit, so I don't have to bring a roller for my carry-on, and instead this will be my backpack. And then on top of that, my personal item will be a much smaller bag that I will basically just keep the essentials that I need for the flight to keep me entertained. That way I could keep my leg space clear for the 15+ hour flight that I'm going to be taking to Japan. One additional note here is that in my check bag, I am going to be bringing a duffel that is folded up. That way, when I come home, I do plan on doing a bunch of shopping in Japan. I could take advantage of this additional check bag. So if I do a bunch of shopping, have additional stuff, I could open up that duffel bag and use it as my second check bag on the way back home. What does that mean as far as the actual bags that I'm going to be taking with me? Alright, so here is my DB roller bag. I've actually had this for like 10 years now. It's served me well, and this is going to be my ski bag. And then as far as my carry-on, we'll be using this Yeti Panga 28. This is a really big backpack, I love this, but this is going to be my carry-on, and this is what I'll be putting in the overhead compartment. And then when it comes to my personal item, I'm going to be using this APC bag. This is just big enough to fit my Nintendo Switch, which is the most important thing that I need for the flight. And then lastly, I'm going to be bringing this medium North Face base camp duffel. So this is packed away in its little carrying case, so it's flattened, and I'm actually going to be packing this inside of my ski bag so that when I come home I could actually open this up and use this as a second check-in if I have a ton of stuff that I'm bringing home extra. Okay, I have separated out all of the stuff that I want to put into the ski bag, and I measured my ski bag with just the equipment in it, so the boots, the skis, and the poles, and the bag itself, and it comes out to about like 29 pounds, so I have around like 20-ish pounds to work with as far as clothes. So on the far left we've got like some ski gear, so we've got the helmet, gloves, and you can't see it underneath, but there's socks. We've got like a thick top underlayer. I've got this like bubble fleece that I use for super cold temperatures, and then another like under sweatshirt. Got 2 pants, there's a bib and then a regular pair of snow pants, and then we've got 2 shells. So on a trip like this, I'll bring 2 sets of ski gear so that while I'm wearing one, the other one has a day to dry. Over here, we've got pants. So this is my base layer pants, so thermal pants and like the Uniqlo Heattech. Got 2 pairs of like under layer, base layer tops. So there's like a Nike one, and then I also have a North Face merino wool underneath that, which you don't see. And then we've got a couple sweaters, additional sweaters as well. I think this is gonna get me to just about 50 pounds. As far as like regular going out clothes, I'm gonna stuff those into the backpack. So like t-shirts, underwear, and then a pair of jeans, so stuff like that. That's gonna end up going in the backpack. And then I've got the weight here, so we'll see what this all comes out to. So let's get to packing. So in general, my packing strategy has not changed too much since my last video. I still use my skis and my poles as structural support on the bottom of the bag, so it would maintain that rigidity as I roll it around and travel through the airport. I put some socks into my boots since there's some space in there, and then I work from the top down, so you see me putting my helmet in there, and I put some pant liners inside of my helmet since there's some empty space in there. And then I basically continue my way down to the bottom of the bag by filling in my clothes. I try to put some of my more cushiony clothes over my bindings, since that could take some of the impact as it travels in the airplane. And one other tip, with the brakes of my skis, I actually use some straps to tie them down so the brakes aren't sticking out at the bottom. But in general, that's how I pack my bag. As I was packing, I almost forgot I needed to also pack that duffel bag that I had folded up because I wanted to be able to use it on the way back as a check-in in case I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I packed that into the bag and did the weigh-in, and it was some pretty amazing estimation on my part, but it came out to 49.8 pounds, which is literally just underneath the 50-pound limit. I can't add any more in there, so anything else I want to bring will have to go into my backpack. Okay, I just finished packing my backpack, so As I mentioned, this is gonna have some additional just street clothes that I'm gonna need outside of just skiing on the mountain. So there's a few pairs of pants, like 3 pairs of pants, about 6 pairs of t-shirts and long sleeves, also all of my underwear for the entire trip, and some additional socks on top of what I have packed in my ski bag. And on top of that, I have a few face masks that I actually need on the mountain, and then my goggles. The last thing that I'm going to drop into here is my toiletry bag, and as of right now, this bag is about 14.4 pounds. So it's a little heavy, but I normally bring a laptop with me, which I'm not doing on this trip, so that saves some weight. This is just like a normal backpack for me when I'm traveling, and I think I did it. I was able to eliminate the roller bag, the roller carry-on, so I don't need to do that. And I'll have my personal item with me, the small little bag that will have my Nintendo Switch and my 360 camera and those important little electronics with me on the plane.